Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Pulse Social Sports Group podcast. My name is Dina Abdou, and today we're joined by a very special and talented guest, Tahira. So, could you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, your history with sports, what your academics are like, and what your hobbies besides all of that are?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Tahira. I'm currently a fourth year medical student studying at a medical school in London. In terms of like my academic journey, med wasn't always something that I wanted to do. I wanted to do psych, but kind of I got to A levels, started psych, and was like, this is disgusting. So very quickly dropped it. And ended up taking chem, maths, and bio, and that kind of led to, research into what I could do in the future, kind of aligning with my love for bio, and essentially ended up with me applying for med and being able to get into it. In terms of sport, I've kind of always had like a sports background. I've always been very interested in it, be that like, PE or just extracurricular activities. I did like Kung Fu when I was younger. I moved on to Muay Thai when I was a bit older. And rugby, which is what I currently play, was only something that kind of popped up maybe about 7 or 8 months ago. But yeah.
Thank you so much for that answer. So, it's interesting how you mentioned obviously you did like Muay Thai and Kung Fu when you're younger. Those two sports are very, very different from rugby. So, what sparked your interest in rugby and how did you get involved in the sport?
I mean, once I kind of had joined uni, I wasn't really in any kind of societies or doing any sports anymore. And I kind of really missed like the routine, the discipline, and the stuff that kind of comes with that. So when I was in my second year of med, it was my goal to kind of join a sport or join a society just to kind of reach out there and become a bit more confident. But in that year, it didn't really work out for me. So I didn't get to join a sport. So, kind of in third year, I was even more determined to try out. So, there were a few sports that I wanted to try. I wanted to try basketball, but they didn't get back to me. So, I wasn't able to do that. And then I ended up trying netball, but it wasn't really for me in the sense of I really like, high intensity and running and like really intense kind of sport. So it kind of went against my whole ethos to stop whenever I had the ball rather than run with it. So I was like, this is clearly not for me. And I basically was just at Freshers Fair once and I went round to a rugby stall and she was like, oh, like you should come try out. Like even if you've had no experience before, you should try it. So I was like, yeah, I definitely will try. I think I wanted to go into something where you didn't really need to have experience for it because what I found in netball was that everyone had a very big netball background already. So I was going in there with zero knowledge and everyone had lots of knowledge. So I felt a bit out of place there. So I was like, let me go somewhere where they're actively asking for people who have never done things before. And I guess I'd never like played rugby before. I'd never been exposed to it. So it was something that I really did, want to try. So in about like October in 2024, I basically signed up for a trial session. And like ever since that trial session, I remember coming home, like my clothes were really muddy, my hands were muddy, and I just felt so like content and happy. Like, when you do a sport and you kind of come out of it and you feel really tired after, really drained, and that means that, you actually put in effort and it was good. And like ever since then, I've just never stopped.
Well, that's a really, really sweet story. Obviously, like you said, that feeling of being comforted and being welcome in the space probably pushed you to do the sport even more as opposed to like
Mm,
netball. I feel like most people feel a little bit almost like discouraged when it comes to like
mm,
certain sports and their exclusivity. Whereas it's interesting how you said rugby is the opposite of that. I kind of assumed that rugby would be a little bit more exclusive, but I guess not, which is really nice actually to know. So in terms of your own experiences, what impact has community sport had on you and your personal growth and also that sense of belonging that you said?
I mean, besides like the muscle gains, which is obviously a very big part of it and something I won't be complaining about, it's just being part of a team is always something that I've loved and something that I do love about playing rugby, especially the team that I do play for. Our university basically has joined with like a local team for the area that my uni is in. And just right off the bat, like They were all so lovely to me. They were so kind. And it's a really nice bonding experience, like traveling to matches together, getting changed together, like celebrating whenever we win. Obviously, I'm Muslim, so they've been very kind of inclusive towards me since I joined. So, when we win, there's like non-alcoholic drinks or non-alcoholic options for me. And they, at the beginning, were very, very eager to know what would allow me to kind of become part of the team fully and integrate myself without feeling uncomfortable. I think as well, it's definitely made me a lot more confident. I've always been someone who's quite nervous and hesitant to kind of try new things, even though I like put on this front of being very, confident and I know what I'm doing. I am very shy and very introverted to the point where it stopped me previously from doing things that I want to do, like applying like for jobs. Like sometimes I'll apply for a job and I will literally get to interview stage and get the job and then I will back out because I'm terrified. But this sport has really allowed me to kind of solidify my confidence, both in, actually playing the sport and getting to know rugby, but also in day-to-day life, like becoming a lot more confident, trying new things, approaching new people, applying for the things that I want to do. Um, but yeah, it's been really good. It's also just affirmed that I do deserve to be in that sport and that I am good at it. I ended up winning best newcomer for that season, and that was my first ever season playing rugby. So with no prior rugby experience, it was a really nice uplifting kind of moment that affirmed that I am good at what I do and can only get better with more practice and teamwork and getting to know the other girls on my team.
That's a really, really sweet story. Obviously, very inspiring as well. It just goes to show that with hard work and with confidence, you can achieve anything. And I feel like you didn't need to doubt yourself from the beginning. Like obviously, you had that confidence, you had that flair, and you have the passion as well, which will take you very far in life, of course.
Mm.
So, in terms of how you manage, so of course, you're academic responsibilities are huge. Obviously, you just mentioned you're a fourth year university student, you're studying medical, you're studying like a medical degree. That is a lot. A lot of people wouldn't be able to manage that on its own, let
Mm.
alone making time for extracurriculars or their interests or their hobbies. So, with that in mind, how do you manage your time between those academic responsibilities as well as training and competing in rugby? Whilst also making sure that you can win things, because you just said that you've won obviously best newcomer. That is a feat if I've ever seen one. Like, how do you manage?
Thank you. So yeah, it takes a lot of organization in order to manage being at med school and being able to do the things you like, be that like extracurricular activities or even going out. But my training happens about twice a week and it's in the evenings. So the time's pretty convenient for me in terms of going to training because it always happens like a few hours after 5 p.m. And I don't want to ever be on placement or on the wards or at uni past 5. So it gives me enough time to kind of finish everything that I need to do at uni, come home, relax for a little bit, get changed, and then go out. If there's ever a reason that I don't really go to training or matches, it's mainly because uni is quite tiring. I'm currently on like full-time placement for this entire year. So there have been a few times recently where I haven't been just because I'm a bit tired and I want to be able to give like my full energy to training and actually showing up. But I think it's just really important. I've always been someone through like secondary school, sixth form, university, someone who's like, even if I know I've got all of these assignments and, homework and exams, I always make sure that I have a day or two in the week where I just don't do anything and I leave that time to do something I enjoy. Like it could be the day before I have an exam. And if that is the day when I've said I'm going to give myself a break, I'm going to give myself a break. But I think that also comes with the organization, as I was saying before, like if you do a little bit of work every day, then it means that you've got more freedom to do what you want because your work's not going to pile up. You're not going to have to cram. You're not going to have to stay up until like 2 a.m. in the morning, which I know a lot of people who do that. But I'm very much a person who prefers to get everything done early so I can, take time off rather than leave everything to the last minute and then have to kind of drop off the face of the earth in order to study and then put everything aside that I really like because that always increases your chances of burnout, which is not something you want to be doing on a 5-year course where you're literally learning to like save lives. Like your mind always has to be switched on at 100%. So you have to give your body grace and, sometimes give it a break if it needs a break. And my break is in the form of training or going out to eat or things like that.
Well, yeah, that was a really good answer. Again, obviously, you have that emotional and mature awareness of knowing where your limit is, and obviously giving yourself that time out to prevent burnout is obviously huge. Not a lot of people have that ability to differentiate between what's healthy and what's not healthy. I mean, that might be from your medical degree, that might be just you as a person. I'm guessing it's both. But like you said, it's really good advice to give to someone. Obviously, with regards to your degree being medicine and you competing in rugby, have you found any surprising parallels between the two? This could be in terms of just the mindset, discipline, or whatever that might be.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about it. There are quite a few parallels. I guess the main one is the teamwork. Like with medicine teaches you to be part of a team. Not only does it teach you to lead, but it also teaches you to be part of the team as a follower. So, you learn how to delegate roles, communicate effectively with people, and that kind of translates into rugby in the sense of, I refer to my captain. She is the one who will make the decisions for the team. I will listen to those. If I ever have a problem or I disagree with something, I'll bring it up in like an appropriate manner and we can discuss it. Obviously, not discuss it like right in the middle of a match, but obviously, it's about not being able to only give orders, but also take orders and communicate effectively around them. And I guess just like good sportsmanship in general, like it sounds a bit weird, but when you're on placement and when you're on wards and working as a doctor, there's so many different specialties that all work together in order to treat like one person. And I guess the way that kind of translates in rugby is that there is you and your team. So there's me and my team, and we know each other and we know how we work, and we're all a unit. And then we go out to these new places that we don't really know and we compete with other teams. And those other teams are also groups of people who know each other. We may not know each other, but when we play together, even though it's quite a rough and aggressive sport, we're always kind of remembering that we're here to have fun and sportsmanship is the way to go forward. So, I'll get like thrown 5 feet into the air and after like hug the girl and be like, oh my God, good game. Instead of being angry at her because there's nothing to be mad about. And I think that you can see that in medicine sometimes. Like you can see hostility between different specialties or like in rugby between different teams, which isn't needed because it doesn't really lead to a very nice work culture. And then in rugby, it doesn't lead to a very good sports culture. It's a lot nicer if everyone just gets along because, we all know how to communicate. We all know how to act like mature people.
Interesting answer. Obviously, you talk about how that there's parallels between the mental aspect, obviously, with both of them being quite physical. Uh, obviously, things like obviously medicine requires you to move around a lot and talk to people, and obviously medicate people. But rugby also requires you to use your body a lot. But all the things that you listed that were parallels were quite mental, which is quite interesting to me. So, with regards to your university, obviously stated that the team that you currently take part in is almost like a mixture of both the local team and your university's team. So,
Mm.
with that in mind, would you say that the university is doing enough to support students to make time for their extracurriculars or potentially like encourage them to take up extracurriculars, specifically when students have such demanding courses like your own? Would you say that the university does enough to support them?
Good question. I think obviously every uni, well, majority of unis that I know, they do that Wednesday protected time, and that Wednesday protected time is normally for the students to take part in extracurricular activities or sports. But it sometimes doesn't make sense because a lot of us will have the protected time on a Wednesday, but for example, in my case, my training's on a Tuesday and a Thursday. So that Wednesday protected time does nothing for me because I'm not actually playing the sport at that time. And that's the case for a lot of other people. I think also my university is science based. So we only have demanding scientific courses before we kind of merge with the other half. but my campus is specifically scientific based and quite demanding. I would say it would be nice if there was more time given to us for the things that we enjoy. One thing I've always found about my uni is that they stretch out the academic year quite a lot. So the year that I'm currently in has just begun in June, even though I finished the last year about a month ago. And this, my fourth year carries on all the way until June. So this is going to be about 60 teaching weeks. And obviously, there are 52 weeks in a year, so it's longer than an actual year. Um, but I think it kind of teaches you, even though the uni isn't particularly giving us everything that we could get, so like longer breaks, reading weeks, the kind of time to actually focus on our mental well-being and take part in sports that we enjoy. I think that it makes you adapt the skill of being in charge of your own time. So, when I do become a doctor, I won't have Wednesday protected time anymore. I won't have someone saying, oh, you should, make time to join a society or join a sport. It's on me to kind of look at my time and think, where can I fit in something that's going to give me, where can I fit in something that's going to give me like a break or, a breather? So I think as well, ever since we kind of merged, I'm hoping that we see some improvement in the time and attention given to the sports on my campus. I know that the other half is quite a large kind of sports base and emphasis on sports, which is really nice to see. And I would love to see that reflected in my campus as well, because there's so many of us who play sport at my uni. So, for example, the men's rugby team at my university is one of the oldest sports clubs in the world. And it's the same for the boat club as well. Like sport has been a part of my uni since the uni was founded. So I think a bit more effort could be put into giving us more time, but at the same time, we're grown adults and it's about us managing our own time, managing our own timetables, and making that own time for us to enjoy the sports that we like.
I really like that answer again. You're obviously very, very mature in all of this, and the way you've also approached the question, which might be a little bit intimidating to some, you've obviously approached that with a lot of grace, obviously stating how the university does try to give you guys more time, but that might not necessarily be convenient depending on what your timetable looks like. So yeah, obviously that what you said about your academic year being stretched out to basically 60 weeks is a lot of pressure, and that will be a lot for you as well to take in, but I'm sure you'll be able to find the time like you always do, to obviously to have time to honor yourself, obviously take time for yourself, but also stay in touch with the things that you love. So
Mm,
that kind of leads me to my last question. Obviously, you have a lot on your plate and you've got this whole new year now where you're going to be spending a lot more time in university. But for anyone who might find themselves in a similar position to you or just have similar struggles to you or face similar challenges, is there any advice you'd give them right now?
yeah, I think I love giving med advice. I can always do that. But
Please do.
in terms of like med school, just in general, even though medicine is so long and it's difficult, it's tiring, these are still university years. And university, even though the goal is to actually come out with a degree, we all know that uni is supposed to be some of the most fun years of your life. You make new friends, you try new things, you grow up, you're a lot more independent, and you can do things that you couldn't do when you were, say, for example, 16 or even 18, because we're all like 21 and above. So I think even though we're at med school, we have to realize that we still need to have fun. We haven't yet become doctors, so we haven't yet tied ourselves to the NHS like that. So we still have time to, take advantage of your on placement that you're not being paid for. Why are you there from 9 to 5? Like, get the work done that you need to get, but don't stay there for much longer than you have to. Go and have fun because one day you're not going to be able to do that stuff anymore. I'd say stay on top of your work, be organized. Like if you're organized and your system is good, then you won't find yourself falling behind and you won't find yourself having to cram, and your experience will be so much different to someone who's always staying up until 2 a.m. in the morning trying to study. And I think just in terms of sport, I mean, I'm biased, but I'd encourage people to play rugby. You don't have to have any experience to play it. There's like a position for everyone. Like if you don't like running, that's fine. The people at the front like don't run. If you like running, that's great. You can go on the sides where my only job is to run. Um, but I always encourage people to join a society, join a sport, because it's important. Especially if you're a med student, you're encouraging your patients and people you see to always be healthy. So it's only fair that you do the same thing to yourself. It's only fair that you treat your body right and you do something while you're young to kind of build up your discipline, work as a team, try something new. Hopefully don't injure yourself too bad because disclaimer, rugby, yes, is very aggressive and can lead to injuries, but you just have to take it as it goes. Listen to your body. Don't push your body past what it can't do. If you need a break, you need a break. Like, don't let what other people were doing scare you into thinking, oh, I need to be studying more, or oh, I should put this sport down and focus on something else. You do what you need to do. You know yourself better than anyone else knows you.
Very solid advice there. And just judging by the way you speak about obviously rugby, you're very, very passionate about it, which I can appreciate. As someone who finds themselves not doing anything in their free time outside of uni, just rotting away, I especially appreciate that advice. And to anyone else who's obviously listening, if there is something that they want to do, they should definitely do it. But again, thank you so much for your time. You've been an absolutely amazing guest. You've obviously gone into
Thank you.
great amount of detail about everything, and you've almost encouraged me to take part in rugby when I have not a single athletic bone in my body. So thank you so much for that. Before we go, is there anything else you want to finish up on, or just any last sentiments you want to add?
Um, no, not really. Just stay organized, guys.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me stop this recording. Oh God.